Estates like Petrus and Lepin routinely sell single bottles for thousands of dollars. The opaque, ruby-red liquid inside commands some of the highest prices in the global luxury market. Look at the famous appellations of Bordeaux's left bank, and you see sprawling, aristocratic chateaux. But cross the river to Pomerol, and you find a quiet landscape dotted with modest stone farmhouses like this one. The entire region covers just 800 hectares. It is so small and historically so overlooked by the French aristocracy that it was entirely excluded from the famous 1855 Bordeaux wine classification. Yet modern collectors hunt these bottles obsessively. They are chasing a specific sensory profile: intense black plum, dark cocoa, earthy truffles, and a characteristic silky tannin. Pomerol's rise is an outlier in a region defined by strict hierarchies. It suggests prestige in the wine world is built on the physical properties of a few square kilometers of earth, rather than a royal decree. Take that distinct aroma of earthy truffles. To find the source of that note, we have to look past these quiet vines and into the 40-million-year-old geology directly beneath them. This is a cross-section of the Pomerol Plateau. Directly below the topsoil lies a thick band of iron-rich dark sand and gravel known as crosse de fer. This metallic mineral layer limits the vine's leaf growth and begins building the wine's earthy complexity. The true geological anomaly is a localized 20-hectare pocket of rare, dense smectite soil called blue clay. It forms a bowl shape right in the center of the plateau, known as the buttonhole. During heavy spring rains, the molecules in this smectite clay physically expand. The soil acts like an underground sponge, trapping and holding onto moisture. When the baking summer heat arrives and the topsoil dries out, the dense clay slowly releases that trapped water. The vines are forced to struggle, pushing their roots into the impenetrable clay to drink. This specific level of hydraulic stress restricts the yield of the grapes. The plant pours all its energy into a few surviving berries, resulting in the deeply concentrated, savory flavors that define the region. Geology accounts for the earthiness, but it doesn't explain the plush, chocolatey richness and dark fruit notes found in the glass. Up until the 18th century, Pomerol grew white grapes. Dutch merchants dominated the European trade routes and preferred white wine, so the local farmers planted whatever sold quickly. As market tastes shifted toward red claret, the region adapted. In 1760, a local merchant planted the area's first documented Merlot, a grape that was largely ignored by the prestigious estates across the river at the time. Merlot is highly sensitive to spring frosts. However, the dense clay soils of Pomerol retain heat effectively, insulating the vines and allowing this temperamental red grape to ripen safely. The pairing of the Merlot grape with that ancient clay plateau yielded a thick-skinned, sugar-rich berry. This agricultural pivot created the signature dark cocoa profile that defines the region today. Geology provides the concentration, but it doesn't guarantee the texture. Transitioning from raw, high-tannin fruit to a velvety mouthfeel required a change in how the region's small estates managed their cellars. In the mid-20th century, while the rest of the wine world ignored these small right-bank family farms, Jean-Pierre Moueix began buying up properties and taking creative control of the winemaking process. Moueix championed a technique known as extended hang time. By leaving the Merlot grapes on the vine longer into the autumn, he allowed the fruits to reach a state of absolute ripeness before harvesting. Once pressed, the juice is moved into traditional underground cellars. Moueix utilized rigorous aging in French oak barrels, a process that slowly oxidizes the wine and smooths out its naturally harsh structural edges. The supple texture of Pomerol is the result of applying these meticulous winemaking techniques to a unique raw ingredient. Pulling the cork on a bottle of Pomerol is the culmination of all that history and geology. In the glass, you will often notice a slight turbidity and a deep, opaque ruby color, hinting at its concentrated richness. Before taking a sip, search the aroma for secondary notes. Beyond the dark fruit, look for distinct hints of wood smoke and roasted espresso. Because the wine possesses such richness and high, soft tannins, it will often overpower delicate foods. It pairs naturally with robust proteins. Prime cuts of beef fillet or gamey meats like venison contain the fat and intensity required to stand up to the wine's powerful structure. Adding earthy wild mushrooms to the plate amplifies the wine's truffle notes, while a creamy camembert coats the palate. The wine is at its best when paired with a meal as decadent as the soil it grew in. Pomerol remains a giant without a castle. It is a luxury icon born from a quiet, unassuming farming commune. Its status is the result of ancient blue clay meeting the thermal needs of the Merlot grape, refined by a generation of winemakers who prioritized ripeness over tradition. True prestige in the wine world cannot be legislated by bureaucratic classifications. It can only be tasted, sip by sip, in the glass.